It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
It's a very good evening and welcome to ZiFM Sport on a Monday, Manic Monday, because what a weekend of sport it was indeed. We'll be giving you coverage of everything that took place, well, at least everything we can get in within the time that we've got that happened over the weekend. Keep you updated with the results and all of the stories coming out of those results. That is, of course, the nature and real mantra of ZiFM Sport. The team is here. Mike Madoda, Chris Medzi, Alois Bunjira, our producer Sean Tafirenyika, and my name is Barry Manandi. On the show tonight, well, on the home front, the Premier Soccer Leagu in Zimbabwe is confident the proposed bio-bubble concept will work, as ZIFA had a board meeting on Saturday to finalize modalities for football's safe return. In international sports news, Bryson DeChambeau's aggressive strategy on one of the toughest courses in the world reaped huge rewards as he powered to his maiden major title at the US Open. That was last night. And the Brisbane Brumbies confirmed their domestic superiority in Australian rugby with a 28-23 victory over the Queensland Reds to clinch the Super Rugby AU title.
In Around the World in 60, we begin in Abu Dhabi, where the Chennai Super Kings beat defending champions Mumbai Indians in the opening game of the IPL after 50s from Faf du Plessis and Ambati Rayudu. In Florida, in the NBA bubble, Anthony Davis' three-pointer at the buzzer lifted the LA Lakers to a 105-103 victory over the Denver Nuggets in Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals in the early hours of this morning. And in the state of Washington, the Seattle Seahawks made a defensive stand at the goal line on the final play of the game to defeat the New England Patriots 35-30 in a thrilling NFL regular game.
And then don't miss out on our play of the day, a musical interlude for you, Manic Monday. And then the second half of the show is always the Castle World Football Report, which we kick off in the Premier League, where Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp says his side was super mature in their 2-0 win over Chelsea in the Premier League at Stamford Bridge. There was also action on Saturday as United got their league campaign underway, and pressure is mounting for their manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as football pundit Alex Crook says he's out of his depth after the Red Devils went down 3-1 to Crystal Palace. In the Bundesliga, Borussia Dortmund started their campaign with a 3-0 victory at home to Borussia Mönchengladbach. In La Liga, Real Madrid's title defense kicked off on a low-key note as Zinedine Zidane's side were held to a goalless draw at Real Sociedad. And then we'll wrap it up with news out of Italy, Serie A, where, according to veteran defender Leonardo Bonucci, Andrea Pirlo has unleashed the shackles as the old lady kicked off the season with the 3-0 victory over Sampdoria.
But first, it's always our power play, and as Mike said, it's Manic Monday. So we start with Kofi Olomide. This one's featuring Naza and K Black. It's called P.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Let's make sure this conversation continuing on social media. At ZiFM Sport is the handle for the show, and indeed all matter sport pertaining to ZiFM Stereo. And then in our individual capacities, at Gazaman14 is Alois Bunjira, at Chris Medzi for appearing as herself, as they say in the movies, at Mike Madoda appearing as himself, Tafirenyika appearing as himself, and at Barry Manandi is my handle. Don't forget the big man, he's at Mark Pozzo. Let's keep the conversation going even in cybersphere. Now, on the home front, we're talking the top tier of domestic football, the Castle Leagu Premier Soccer League, where they are confident the proposed biobubble concept will work, as ZIFA had a board meeting on Saturday to finalize modalities for football's safe return. However, some top flight clubs are still not clear on who will bear the costs for such a move. Now, Youth Sport, Arts and Recreation Minister Kirsty Coventry recently suggested to ZIFA that the game could safely return through using the biobubble concept, which involves clubs camping in a safe environment with no contact with the outside world. It would also mean COVID-19 tests will be done regularly for players and officials. So ZIFA getting together in a bit of a team huddle on Saturday, Alois, and discussing this entire concept along with the PSL and its board of governors. One of the key and pertinent questions, of course, being the cost, and there's two costs in my mind: the cost of camping and the cost of testing.
When I look at this situation, I don't know. They actually had a board meeting on Saturday, and I know what they were discussing is grown-up people discussing the bubble and saying it is possible. They actually agree that it is possible to have a bubble in Zimbabwe. So I started asking myself, what exactly league are they talking about? Where exactly are we going to, for how long are we going to have that? Those things, those bubbles that we saw overseas, they were only for a short period of time, not for a season. They wanted to complete their season because it's costly. England didn't even have a bubble because of the cost that you talked about. So don't know what they agreed, and then when they sit alone, when clubs don't even know, but clubs are doing newspaper, but clubs don't know. They're not even consulting the clubs. Clubs don't know. Clubs are not here. Isn't there supposed to be a comprehensive document that outlines all these things? So who is going to foot the bill, my friend? And even as the document.
The comprehensive document, Alois, apparently states the fact that the bio bubble is meant to run from October to December, because what they're trying to do, Mike, is they want to run a short-run tournament, because Kenny Ndebele, the CEO of the PSL, admits that it's too late for us to start a full league campaign. So they want to do a short cup competition until December, so that players get fit. There's some football that the nation can watch, and that we don't, hopefully, embarrass ourselves when we get to Chan. At least that's what seems to be in order here.
Barry, I go back to some of the sentiments that we passed on this show last week, that what worries me is that the prescription for the problem of football not returning or returning is coming not from the authorities that govern and run the game, but is coming from a different source. It shouldn't be government that's dictating terms. It shouldn't be the SRC that's dictating terms. I am concerned with the fact that it seems the PSL is waiting for someone to be prescriptive about how we're going to return to action in Zimbabwe's top flight. That's concerning for me. And also the very fact that no one seems to be thinking about the bottom of the pyramid. They're all just thinking about action coming back in the Premier Soccer League with nothing at all for lower leagues.
That's a key component, Chris, in the sense that football isn't the Premier Soccer League. Football is a pyramid, or at least it's meant to be a pyramid. In Zimbabwe, it doesn't seem to be that way. But there's no consideration to think to themselves, actually, the bottom of the pyramid is where the problem might be. Because if you say that football is back, chances are the social soccer teams, Madare Matumbu, are going to run out onto their fields straight away.
Even us at the academies.
Exactly.
The academies will definitely be keen to get back on track. If you take a look at, like you said, your social football teams as well, they're keen to get back. Your Division 1s, Division 2s across the regions. Everyone wants football to come back, and it's so concerning that the only focus is the Premier Soccer League. Because, for example, if you take a look at, okay, maybe they're playing in a particular format, so there's no promotion, there's no demotion. But when you take a look at exactly what a league is supposed to do and what's supposed to be the outcome, there's not enough thought being put into this for me. The idea of a bio bubble might maybe work for certain regions in the country, but I don't see personally the point of a bio bubble at this point. At the point at which countries were considering bio bubbles, they were in the thousands of cases per day. Zimbabwe at the moment is around 22 cases on average per day. So just taking a look at those numbers alone, I'm a bit,
You know what, Chris? There doesn't seem to be anyone who's really trying to come up with a strategy that centers on the available data at government, national and health level, and trying to merge it with the plan that's coming from football. If you take a look at some of our counterparts on the continent, never mind South Africa, because, South Africa, we can say, big economy, lots of financing, they've got the infrastructure.
Lots of COVID cases. Lots of COVID cases. But let's go to Ghana. I think Ghana is a nation that has got a league that is very similar to ours. It's a nation that's about the same size as Zimbabwe, dealing with sort of like cases almost at a similar level to Zimbabwe. What has their president, Nana Akufo-Addo, said? He said that football can return not only at Premier Soccer League level, but also at Division 1 level, and also 25% capacity in their stadiums. That shows me that these are people who are thinking about the game. They've got a plan that they're working on, and this plan is based on available data. Right now, Barry, the cases that we have, the information that we have, tell me, why are we not resuming training as per normal? Why are we not getting our games back in our stadiums and some form of fans back into the stadium, even if it's a 25 or 50% capacity? Alois, if they're saying that they want to buy a bubble concept and they want to run a short-term competition for the PSL, have they got TV at the table as well? Because obviously fans want to see the football. They're bringing the football back for the fans. Fans are not going to be allowed in the stadium. Is TV at the table, do you think?
Yeah, but that's another puzzle. Like, okay, if we are going to have a bubble, why are we back? Why are we playing in the first place? Where there's no TV, there's no fans at the stadium. So why are we playing? The club and play in the bubble stadium against the Platinum, Caps versus Dynamos. They played against the Platinum, no fans, nothing after the game. So what do we achieve? Bora nakuona fans, apana advertisement, apana chi. What exactly are we playing for if we don't have marketing strategy around the football?
It looks like there's a knee-jerk reaction here because I think the government and indeed ZIFA have got one eye on the qualifiers that are coming up in November against Algeria for the national team. And of course, the CHAN competition, which holistically needs local players to turn up for that competition, which is taking place in Cameroon. I think it might be that is driving football's return more so than a consideration for the fans and the need for us to just get back to life as normal. Health is number one, but at this stage, I think the health concerns have been dealt with. Masking is widespread, and I think we're in a fairly safe environment. Perhaps we should, as Mike said, just open up.
Hi, my name is Sean Williams, Zimbabwe cricket captain. You're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Let's give you a local sports news roundup, starting with cricket, where preparations for Zimbabwe's proposed limited overs tour to Pakistan are set to intensify this week, with a provisional squad of 25 called up for training camp in Harare starting tomorrow. The October to November tour will see two sides facing off in 3 one-day international matches and 3 T20 internationals. Right, let's keep you updated with what's happening locally, starting with cricket, where preparations for Zimbabwe's proposed limited overs tour to Pakistan are set to intensify this week, with a provisional squad of 25 called up for a training camp in Harare that starts tomorrow. The October to November tour will see two sides facing off in 3 one-day international matches and 3 T20 internationals. In athletics news, National Athletics Association of Zimbabwe Director Lesemati Pakamile says the postponement of interprovincial championships to November will give athletes and the association time to get ready for the meet. The National Association had a virtual meeting to deliberate on various issues, with the interprovincial championships among the topical issues. The meet was scheduled for this weekend in Bulawayo, but following the meeting, they've agreed to move it to November. Let's wrap it up with bodybuilding news. The National Federation of Zimbabwe Bodybuilding and Fitness, that's the NFZBF, which heaved a huge sigh of relief after government extended business hours for sport and recreational facilities such as gyms, intends to hold at least one competition before year-end. NFZBF Secretary General Quiet Shangai said the Harare Classic was the only tournament feasible this year. At the moment, Harare is the only province ready or capable of holding an event.
Hi, this is Mike Madoda, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z. From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
This is ZiFM Sport, your favorite sports show. Don't forget, in the second half of the show, the Castle Lager World Football Report. Big games in England. Slow start for Manchester United. Their manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer under scrutiny. We'll get to hear the thoughts of Alois Munjira and Chris Gray, two big Man United fans in the studio, on whether they think United is up for the fight. Chris is already shaking her head, so I anticipate I know what she's going to be talking about. But before we get there, let's go international with our sports news. Let's start with golf, where new US Open champion Bryson DeChambeau is adamant that his power-based approach to golf will attract a new generation of youngsters to the sport. DeChambeau's strategy of prioritizing length over accuracy at winged foot paid off as he stormed to a 6-shot victory over third-round leader Matthew Wolff, closing with 3 under 67 for a winning score of 6 under par. Let's hear from the new champion Bryson DeChambeau.
Surreal. It sounds amazing, but surreal. It's been a lot of hard work, and I gotta say thanks to my whole team. As difficult as this golf course was presented, I played it beautifully. Even when I got in the rough, I was still able to manage my game and hit it to correct sides of the greens, except on 14 today. 14. And kept plugging away. My putting was immaculate today. My speed control incredible. That's why we work so hard on my speed control. You see me out there on the greens with the device controlling my speed, trying to control my speed. It's just something that allows me and gives me comfort to know that on this green or these speeds of greens, you know, it's going to be repeatable. It's going to be this, it's going to be that. And so it just gives me comfort in knowing how far I can take it back and go through. And so many times I relied on science, and it worked every single time.
Z.
Bryson DeChambeau, US Open champion, 27 years old, and the only player to complete 72 holes under par. Barry, you talked about the difficulty level of this course. It lived up to its billing.
It certainly did. And Bryson DeChambeau, you said that he was due when we did our preview on Thursday, I think it was. And in truth, he delivered. The man they call the scientist. You look at it, him packing on 18 kgs, having his clubs all the same length, experimenting with oversized grips. Everybody laughed at him, but now who's laughing?
Absolutely. And Chris, we did talk about the fact that he was due, and that's primarily because he has been incredibly consistent, not just in the last couple of months, but over the last couple of years. He's been dubbed the nearly man at golf's major championships, and this time he's come good.
He's come good, and I think it's in part due to his methods, that combination of his length off the tee, also incredible control around the greens. I think that's what spurred him on more than anyone else. And like you said, just that consistency where he's been there or thereabouts in most of these tournaments, but come this one, which well done to you for, saying he was due. But I think a lot of people would have looked past him and not actually considered that he was one of the main contenders to win this, and he certainly did.
Well, the main contenders, they fell badly away. I think the only guy that really came close, if you could call it that, was 11 shots back, and that was Dustin Johnson. He was 5 over at winged foot. And Barry, what are your thoughts of that strategy by Bryson? Hit it long and then deal with whatever you're facing further up the fairway.
I think it needs to be a combination, because you've then got to have the power and strength. We talked about the strength you needed if you got into the rough. I think in the end, his statistics were like he hit only 26 fairways out of 52 or 56.
I think 23 out of 56, yeah. 23
out of 56. That's insane. Those numbers are insane. You shouldn't win a golf tournament if you're only hitting half the fairways that you're supposed to. But because he's got the power, because he put on those 18 kgs of muscle, he can dig himself out of trouble.
Okay, from golf, let's go to rugby. Super Rugby AU, where the Brisbane Brumbies confirmed their domestic superiority in Australian rugby with a 28-23 victory over the Queensland Reds to clinch the Super Rugby AU title in Canberra. This was a match that was played on Saturday. The victory ensured the Brumbies' third title at Super Rugby level, having won the broader international Super Rugby competition in 2001 and 2004. Let's hear from winning coach, Brumbies coach, Dan McKellar.
Yeah, no, it was feels really good because we had to work for it. It's been a tough competition, and from one week to the next, and as I said during the week, teams have had to deal with travel on game day and that sort of thing, and just to win it here and for our community as well. It's been a pretty tough year down here with COVID and then the bushfires and that sort of thing. It's just nice to hopefully put a smile on 6,000 people's face here tonight, and then plenty more sitting on the couch back at home.
Z.
Well, Chris, if Barry gave me credit for at least getting one of my picks correct for the US Open, we must give Barry credit for the manner in which the Brumbies approached this game, because true to Barry's analysis in our build-up on Friday, they put pressure on the Reds at the breakdown, force them to make mistakes in midfield, and then punish them with a brutal kicking game. And of course, that saw them get over the line.
And they did it incredibly well. And the Reds themselves were putting a lot of pressure on them as well. They were, I think it was 15 points down at one point, managed to work their way all the way up. And that obviously kudos to the Reds for that. But I think also Dan McKellar going into this, he knew what he needed to do. And I think bringing back Noah Lelezio to come into this game, he managed to put up 13 points for them. I think that was one of the winning moves from Dan McKellar to get this over the line.
Barry, the Reds themselves, they battled back from deficits, 15-3 down at one point, 28-13 down at some point. You take a look at the final scoreline of 28-23, it looks incredibly close. But if you watched the work over 80 minutes, it was easy to see that the Brumbies were the better side.
100%, and it was a case of the Brumbies butchering scoring opportunities in some instances, more so than the Reds being in the game. Look, let's be fair on the Reds in the areas where they are strong, like scrum time. They certainly competed, but the facets of the game, the other facets of the game, the Brumbies were so much better, and I believe that the scoreline is actually complementary to the Reds.
Absolutely, and of course Australian rugby will be happy that they managed to get some game time under their belt with the Rugby Championship looming. Action, of course, also underway in New Zealand, and action now back in South Africa.
Hi, I'm JC Krill, Springbok and Blue Bulls backline player. You are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Only DSTV brings you the very best football action. Catch all the action from the most popular league in the world, the English Premier League, with some of the world's biggest stars in Sadio Mane, Harry Kane, Sergio Aguero, and Virgil van Dijk. Catch all the action on the brand new Super Sport Premier League channel on channel 223. We have the world's best football, only on DSTV.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
Around the World in 60 is proudly brought to you by DSTV. We'll begin in Abu Dhabi, where the Chennai Super Kings beat defending champions Mumbai Indians by 5 wickets in the opening game of the IPL after 50s from Faf du Plessis and Ambati Rayudu. After CSK chasing 163, lost both their openers inside 2 overs, du Plessis and Rayudu put on 115 for the 3rd wicket. Yesterday, Delhi Capitals were in indebted to a brilliant all-round display from Marcus Stoinis as they kicked off their campaign with a remarkable victory over Kings 11 Punjab in a thrilling super over. In Florida, in the NBA bubble, Anthony Davis' three-pointer at the buzzer lifted the LA Lakers to a 105-103 victory over the Denver Nuggets in Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals in the early hours of the morning. Davis, who scored the Lakers' last 10 points of the game, delivered 22 of his 31 points in the second half for the Lakers, who hold a 2-0 series lead. Davis also finished with 9 rebounds. And in the state of Washington, the Seattle Seahawks made a defensive stand at the goal line on the final play of the game to defeat the New England Patriots 35-30 in a thrilling NFL regular game. Cam Newton nearly rallied the Patriots from a 12-point deficit in the final 4.5 minutes as he scored a second rushing touchdown of the game with 2 minutes and 16 seconds left. On their next series, New England drove all the way down the yard line with 2 seconds left, but this time Newton was stuffed at the goal line by Seattle's LJ Collier as the Seahawks held on for a memorable win. So some inside news for you. SuperSport is on the verge of launching a game-changing app, and it'll revolutionize the way you consume sport on your mobile device. Before that, though, we'd love to hear from you. That's the sports fan we're catering for, on what you think of the beta version of the SuperSport app. Let us know your thoughts, whether you're praising us, criticizing, and giving suggestions. We'll use it to shape the app into a world-class multi-sport companion.
All the rivalry.
Here is Harry Kane for Tottenham. Oh, what a goal! A classic derby goal from Harry Kane. Catch him if you can.
All the stars.
Oh, back here's Liverpool 2 in front. Talk about impudent. Talk about improvisation. Talk about Sadio Mane.
And all the game-changing moments.
And Raheem Sterling rattles it home. And once more, City are in front in a trice.
All the updates from the Premier League on ZiFM Sport.
Matchday 2 in the Premier League saw lots of big performances and lots of goals, and we are going to pick it apart for you right here on your favorite sports show, ZiFM Sport. Now, according to football pundit Alex Crook, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is out of his depth in the Old Trafford hot seat after Manchester United slipped to a 3-1 home defeat to Crystal Palace in their first game of the season. Andros Townsend's opener and Wilfried Zaha's double sank United in Saturday's fixture, despite new signing Donny van der Beek scoring on his debut. Let's hear from TalkSport's Alex Crook, who explained the issues bedeviling Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a very lucky boy, and I'll tell you why he's lucky. It's because the vast majority of United fans always lay the blame for their failings at Ed Woodward's door. Yes, the recruitment policy leaves a lot to be desired, but yesterday wasn't about poor recruitment or the fact they haven't signed Jadon Sancho. It was about bad tactics and bad management. Roy Hodgson had his team well drilled. Palace had a game plan. They stuck to it. They executed it perfectly. Solskjaer's got one way to play. That is on the counter. It's easy to beat United. Just give them the ball and ask them to break you down. 9 times out of 10 they can't do it. I mean, tell me, Dan James, whose confidence level is clearly through the floor, why was he picked ahead of Mason Greenwood? Why did Fosu Mensah get the nod ahead of Wan-Bissaka? 2 decisions that made no sense at all. And by the way, I was totting this up in the hotel earlier. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has spent £240 million. The gap between United and the top 2 is still a chasm. How many of those Crystal Palace players, Darren Ambrose, get into United's first 11? That's a rhetorical question because the answer's none. Not even Zaha. If I'm Ed Woodward, do I want to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer another £150 million? Yes, he got to 3 semi-finals last season, but he lost 3 semi-finals. I don't remember Andy Cole losing too many semi-finals. And the only reason they got in the top 4 was because Leicester fell off a cliff in the second half of the season and Chelsea couldn't sign anyone. United need to stop messing around now. They need to appoint a proper, proven manager, or they're in massive danger of finding themselves even further behind.
Alois United kicking off their 2020-2021 campaign with a home defeat to Crystal Palace of all teams. Not exactly the result that even the fans were looking forward to.
Yeah, of course, Michael. It was for us. It was soft landing, soft start. 3 points collected so that you can actually get on and cruise in the season. Everybody expected 3 points from Crystal Palace. What better way to start by starting with Crystal? What if you started with Chelsea, with Liverpool, Man City, with all the big, with Spurs? But it's not good when you see your team struggling over and over again. When you actually think that maybe this year, then you start with a false start again, and then it just drains confidence away from you. And now, what if we're now facing difficult teams? If this is at Old Trafford, it used to be a fortress. Honestly speaking, teams like Crystal Palace, they knew that they were coming to Old Trafford for slaughter. In the olden days, we knew that these small teams just coming to donate 3 points. But now small teams, they just come, West Bromwich Albion, Crystal Palace, they come and collect points at Old Trafford. It's actually quite sad, and this start, it doesn't give confidence at all.
And I guess that's what Alex Crook is talking about, Barry, isn't it? The fact that, listen, yes, United's fans may be pointing fingers at the men upstairs in the suits that make the decisions and make the investment in the club. But this is a game against Crystal Palace, opening game of the season. It's at Old Trafford with even the players that Manchester United had. There is no reason why Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should be getting tactically outwitted by Roy Hodgson.
That's the unfortunate thing, that he was tactically outwitted. That's exactly the right statement right there. And if you look man for man at both lineups, that Manchester United team on any day of the week should not be losing to Crystal Palace. And I think that's what's frustrating all Man United fans and indeed world football, in the sense that Manchester United should be achieving a lot more if they would make the right decisions in terms of their dugout. And right now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he rode the wave of fortune towards the end of last season during the restart. Lots of penalties involved. Now you've got to show your mettle, and he can't.
He can't show his mettle. Now, Chris, I want to take you back to Saturday afternoon, and this is a tweet that you sent out. You're obviously watching the game, your favorite team, and you said, "Very glad my expectations of United were on the floor." Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't convince you, does he?
Absolutely not. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not the man for Manchester United. Like Barry says, he's been riding a wave of fortune. He's been riding off of the excellence of a few individual players who have a spark of magic and manage to win a game. He's been riding off of some pundits who in the British media who have been very patient with him and saying, Ole at the wheel, Ole is the man for this. But I think if the opening game of the season, you're playing Crystal Palace, where it's almost guaranteed that you should be able to win this at home, and you don't manage to, you don't know your team, you're making an incorrect selection. Why is Wan-Bissaka not starting in this game? Mason Greenwood, he's shown up game after game for Manchester United, but this young man is not being given the full chance that he should be. Ole is not the guy for this. And if for as long as we have Ole there, we're not going to see an improved Manchester United side. Finishing third last season was a simple fluke.
Okay, United are losing their first game of the season for the first time in 6 years. And right now, it looks like there are lots of questions being asked about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But the biggest game of the weekend, guys, was yesterday evening. It was in the West End of London, and it saw Chelsea hosting champions Liverpool. Now, Jurgen Klopp says his side was super mature in their 2-0 win over Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Sadio Mane's double capitalized on Andreas Christensen's red card, and another error from Kepa Arrizabalaga. Frank Lampard's side have spent lavishly on this transfer window with a view to closing the 33-point gap which opened up between the sides last season, but couldn't lay a glove on the title holders in the first half. Their task was then made so much harder in stoppage time when Christensen was sent off for hauling Mane to the ground. You could describe it as a rugby tackle. Let's hear from Jurgen Klopp.
It's a tough game. It's always a tough game. It's with supporters, without supporters. It's a tough game. And I liked the first half already. I liked it. It was just the two teams who really wanted to play together, wanted to create, wanted to defend, wanted to make things happen. And I like that a lot and respect that a lot.
Barry, I'm going to start with you on this one and say that, yes, it was a game of two halves because Liverpool had their workload reduced in the second half because they were playing against the Chelsea side that was a man down. But even before Chelsea went down to 10 men, you could tell that Liverpool was the far superior side and that it was only a matter of time. The goals were coming.
You certainly could. Let me start by saying that I think to say that it was a rugby tackle is disrespectful to rugby because that would have been a penalty and a sin binning in rugby. So in football, we can understand why it was a red card. Back to the game, I think that Frank Lampard got his tactics wrong. He is in a different format, different planet to Liverpool. But in truth, trying to sit back, trying to let Liverpool have the ball is the wrong move to make, especially with the artistry that's now in the midfield of Liverpool. What am I talking about? Keita, talking about Thiago. You're going to get hurt. So I think he needed to be a little more gung-ho, a little more aggressive. After all, 2-0 is 2-0. Whether you lose 2-0 attractively or ugly, which was yesterday, it's still 2-0.
Well, do we run the risk, Alois, of being hypercritical and too critical on Frank Lampard and Chelsea if you consider what's on the bench and what's to come? Thiago Silva will bring a lot of experience at the heart of defense. They're going to have, of course, the likes of Ziyech, who's come in from Ajax and he hasn't been able to play, the likes of Pulisic, etc. So Chelsea may look different in 3 or 4 weeks' time.
Yeah, Mike, to be honest, I do agree with Barry 100% that, you know what, it was catastrophic for Frank Lampard to use the tactics that he used against Liverpool because they have the team. They've got the players that are capable. You look at their bench as well. They've got players that can actually come in and actually play. He was just supposed to be brave enough and say, let's say pound for pound. Technically, match them. You could have done something out of this, but it's catastrophic. You sit back when you play against Liverpool. They are so quick. They've got highly technical players, and when they have the ball, you don't want to play against them. That's why Guardiola is always saying that you don't lose a match, don't have the ball. So you try to keep ball for as long as you want, as long as you can. This is what England have done. If you want to play against Liverpool, keep the ball away from them. That's how to play against Liverpool. Because when they have the ball, it's not easy to actually defend against them. So I think that was the wrong decision to do. But like you said, I think in a few weeks' time, they're going to look a different ball game altogether because they are going to have a team. They've got a team is capable. I just think Frank Lampard needs to be confident enough in his team. Say, you know what, we can play against any other team in Premier League technically and anyhow.
And of course, one other issue that Frank Lampard is going to need to work on is on the mentality of his team. His goalkeeper, Kepa, is certainly not in a good spot. And of course, that was punctuated by the mistake he made. And also his penalty taker. You know, whenever you are sent a lifeline like a penalty, you've got to stick it in the back of the net. It was at a very crucial time where Chelsea could have had the momentum going into the closing stages of that match. But Alisson made that penalty save, and of course it guaranteed the 3 points for Liverpool. In other key results from the weekend, Heung-min Son netted an astonishing 4-goal haul, all made by Harry Kane as a second half blitz saw Tottenham demolish Southampton 5-2 at St Mary's. Edin Nketiah came off the bench to score the winner as Arsenal snatched a 2-1 victory over a drastically improved West Ham at the Emirates Stadium. I've just talked about mentality, Chris, when I was talking about Chelsea. Arsenal are beginning to show that their mentality has improved.
Their mentality has improved. You can see there's belief there. This is a team that believes in itself. Even Edin Nketiah coming off the bench, he's 21 years old. He's given a chance and he manages to make an impact for the team. I think there's a good project that's going on there at Arsenal, and I'm a little bit jealous, if I'm honest.
Okay, action also tonight in the Premier League. 2 matches for you. The early kick-off sees Aston Villa entertain Sheffield United, and then Manchester City will get their campaign underway on the road to Wolves.
From Rufaro to Barberfield, Mandava to Nyamunga, all the perfect moments in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League come together on ZiFM Sport. Horsepower unmatched. Talk to beat the best. Speed unrivaled. Sleek and easy on the eye. Let's get behind the wheel of football engineered to perfection. The Bundesliga, made in Germany.
In Germany, results out of the Bundesliga for the weekend look like this. Hoffenheim with a good win on the road, 3-2 over Cologne. They prevailed. Augsburg also winning on the road, 3-1 over Union Berlin. Arminia Bielefeld and Eintracht Frankfurt played out a 1-1 draw, while Borussia Dortmund forward Erling Haaland, he scored twice, and teenager Giovanni Reina added another as they cruised past Borussia Mönchengladbach 3-0 in their season opener on Saturday. Chris, your favorite player, Erling Haaland, back on the score sheet, picking up things where he left off last season. And we don't expect him any change from Erling Haaland. Maybe he'll talk to the press a bit more, but I think he's set to continue and to perform for Borussia Dortmund. We hope that he'll talk to the press a little bit more. Hertha Berlin winning away over Werder Bremen, that one ending 4-1 in favor of Hertha Berlin. Freiburg 3-2 winners over Stuttgart. RB Leipzig 3-1 winners over Mainz, and Wolfsburg and Bayer Leverkusen played out a 0-0 draw. But the season got back underway with a match between Bayern Munich and Schalke, Alois, and it ended 8-0 in favor of Bayern Munich. Serge Gnabry scoring a hat-trick and Leroy Sané also getting a goal for Die Rotten. And indeed, Bayern Munich, again, like Erling Haaland, picking up where they left off, scoring bags of goals.
Hey, my friend, Bayern Munich, I think, they are actually showing that they are the best club in the world at the moment. They are sweeping everything. They are cleaning out everything. They are pushing out everybody aside. They are just playing swashbuckling football, and you can't even deny it, that they are the best club in the world. Anyone that comes up against them, and they score goals. Look at how they scored. Gnabry is actually scoring 3 goals, and he has been doing well as well in the past Champions League, remember? And he is just carrying on from where he left off. And this is a team that gets goals from everywhere, and they play as a team. It's a machine. The German machine.
It's an absolute machine, our Bayern Munich, courtesy of Hansi Flick.
Alcohol may be hazardous to health if consumed to excess. The operation of machinery or driving after the consumption of alcohol is not advisable. Not for sale to persons under the age of 18 years.
Castle Lager is more than just beer. It's pure liquid gold, crafted from the finest local ingredients to deliver a taste that is somewhat dry, somewhat bitter, but never sweet. It's the taste that stood the test of time. It all comes together with a castle.
The league that makes football oh so beautiful. Where artistry and strokes of genius are the order of any day. Where the game is played with a smile and the little master creates his magic.
It's Lionel Messi!
All the news from the Spanish La Liga on ZiFM Sport.
Let's head into Spain. Your results from this last weekend: Villarreal 2-1 against Eibar, Getafe won 1-0 against Osasuna, Celta Vigo with a 2-1 win over Valencia. Real Madrid, their league title defense kicked off on a low note as Zinedine Zidane's side were held to a 0-0 draw at Real Sociedad. Barry, this is not a great start for Real Madrid. Are we looking too much into this if we take a look at that 0-0 draw?
Look, I think Zizou has the latitude after winning the championship to be given a bit of rope. So let's put this down to the first game of the season, a little bit of rust. Let's see and judge him after maybe 5 games, I would say. But it's definitely a very inauspicious start.
Huesca going down 2-0 against Cadiz, Real Betis 2-0 against Real Valladolid, Granada 2-1 against Alaves. And you might be wondering, what about Barcelona? They return to league action this weekend. Ronald Koeman's project begins.
Right, let's wrap it up with news out of Italy. Serie A results, and Fiorentina beat Torino 1-0. Hellas Verona and Roma played out a goalless draw. Parma was beaten at home by Napoli 2-0. Genoa impressive 4-1 victors over Crotone. Sassuolo and Cagliari could not be separated. 1-1 draw. Now, according to veteran defender Leonardo Bonucci, Andrea Pirlo has unleashed the shackles as the old lady kicked off the season with a 3-0 victory over Sampdoria. So Juventus victorious in their first game of the season, Alois, and that's the least that could be expected of Andrea Pirlo in his first game in charge.
Yeah, of course. I'm actually, I'm not a Juve fan. I don't want them to win the league again. But I'm excited for Andrea Pirlo. I'm a fan of young coaches coming through, debuting coaches, young coaches coming through, and suddenly, I've even Juve for that, and I'm happy if he wins and he carries on, because I like that. And unfortunately, it's not going to be a good thing for me at all, because I wouldn't want Juve to keep on winning. I would love to see Inter Milan actually giving them a fight. Let's see how the season goes, but I'm happy for Pirlo.
Absolutely, Barry is happy for Pirlo. And did you see a change in style, a change in approach, Barry? Did you see the Pirlo stamp, as it were, on Juventus? I know it's just one game, but did you see any signs?
I did, and I love it when a team begins to play like the manager used to play. I saw a lot of completed passes. I saw a lot of movement. I saw a lot of passing and supporting. I saw long and short movement. I saw them trying to use the sides and even going up the middle as well. So I saw a lot of variations that could be telling going forward. I think they're going to make a splash in Serie A for sure. But the Champions League, I think one to watch.
Well, Inter Milan, who are predicted to be the main challengers, are yet to kick off. But the other Milan side, AC Milan, they kick off their campaign tonight when they host Bologna.
Now, I'm not sure if what you just heard was a load of baloney. I'm pretty positive it wasn't, because it's sport and it's wonderful every time we're able to be here. We'll catch you tomorrow again. We'll do it all again at 6:05. Don't miss it. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manandi, out.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
The biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.